How you doing, guys? This is going to be my first modification video on my 2016 Yamaha MT10, and I'm going to start off with replacing the stock seat for the Yamaha comfort seat. Now when I put the comfort seat on, it's going to raise my seat height, so to accommodate for that difference in ride height, I'm going to install some lowering linkages just to drop the tail end of the bike down a little bit so it's about that stock height, as when I'm on this bike I'm already on my tippy toes at 5 foot 9 inches tall. Moving on, I'm also going to replace these little plastic tabs which cover the rear tail light, as they're really flimsy and prone to breaking, so I'll be replacing them with a carbon fibre trim as it's a lot more durable. And after I install that, I'm going to whack on a black seat cowl just to tie in with the rest of the bike. So that's the talking done, let's get to it. So whilst the seat's off, I'm just going to remove the stock cowling and replace it with the carbon fibre one. So in comparing the carbon fibre cowling with the plastic one, you can see that the plastic one is 3 separate pieces, being the middle piece here and then these 2 wings, and they're just held into place with clips. Now it's those clips which fail and cause it to become flimsy and break, whereas with the carbon fibre one, it's a lot more durable and it's one piece. So when installing the new cowl, I found that I'll have to put some washers underneath both mounts here, so when you tighten the screws down you're going to put too much pressure on the carbon fibre and it might crack the mounts. So I've just got 3 small washers here. There we go. Now that's torqued down without putting too much pressure on the mounting point. Beauty, no more flimsy cowl. Now let's whack the comfort seat on. Wee, how about that? Stubby holder. So when you look at both seats, you can immediately tell the comfort seat looks more expensive. The material is a much better looking material. It's more of a suede material, whereas the stock seat is more of like a fake leather or pleather material. The comfort seat is 55mm thick, whereas the stock seat is 35mm thick. So the comfort seat is 20mm thicker, so your ride height's going to be 20mm higher. And to compensate for that height difference, I'm going to be installing some lowering linkages. But as I said before, I'm going to install a seat cowl. So this is the pyramid seat cowl which I purchased off eBay. And to install that seat cowl, what I need to do is just loosen off those nuts, put it on, and then tighten them down. Alrighty, now we've got the tail end sorted, what I'm going to do is just put the bike on a paddock stand and then change out that linkage for the lowering linkage. So to replace the stock linkage, which is this one just here, I've got to take the exhaust off, because when I loosen this bolt here, it won't be able to come out as it's going to hit this exhaust bracket just here. Alrighty, so I'm going to try and get away without having to completely remove the exhaust and just leave it hanging down, as I really don't want to have to disconnect those O2 sensors, because the way you have to disconnect them is to unplug them, follow the wire down and then loosen them off, because if you loosen them off with the clip still plugged in, those 3 wires are going to twist up and they're going to break. So I just want to drop it off without having to unplug them. Slide this block of wood underneath the exhaust. So I'm just going to disconnect this exhaust servo so I can move the exhaust out of the way without having to unplug those O2 sensors. So I've just removed this bracket here as the bracket was sitting in front of that bolt just there. So now I'm just going to chop this block of wood up underneath the linkage, as it's going to take tension off those bolts, and then I can replace those linkages. So the aftermarket linkages are about 184 millimeters long. Now the stock linkages are 173 mil long. So that's the lowering linkages installed, and now my ride height is perfect. When sitting on the bike, I can pretty well plant my feet flat on the floor, whereas with the comfort seat and the stock linkages, I was pretty well on my tippy toes. If you do install the 40mm lowering linkages, another thing to keep in mind is when your bike's on its side stand, it's now going to be in more of an upright position. It's not going to be leaning over to the left as much as it did with the stock linkages. Just for added peace of mind, in the future I may modify my stand so it's leaning over more to its left, as I don't want to walk away from the bike and worry that it's going to tip over. So unfortunately, because we're in lockdown here in Sydney, I can't do a decent review of this comfort seat, as I'm not allowed to ride my bike willy-nilly around the neighbourhood. But I do plan on doing one in the future. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.